And this is going to be about drop-down menus. So there's several different ways you can do this. And when I was making this site for my colleague in Grand Bend, I didn't want a drop-down menu that caused the browser to check and see if it was compatible and say you want to run it. So I went and found this, and here, wait, I got to go to the next, let's go to another page, this one. So I went and found this one, okay? And it actually took me a bit of time to get it just to work like that, because they're kind of tricky sometimes. And I still, only in one browser does it actually load up below gear instead of right over top of it. See what I mean? But that was the best I could do with it. They're very tricky things. I don't love drop-down menus, but I know a lot of you want to use them. So I'll show you the way to do a Java menu in Dreamweaver that will ask the browser, hey, is this okay? And then you click yes and you run it, but it'll kind of always look the same in every browser. And Dreamweaver set it up that way. So if you want something even more advanced, you can go W3 Schools, just Google it, YouTube. As you guys know, you can find tons and tons of stuff just by looking around. But the example for a drop-down menu I'm going to show you is the one inside of Dreamweaver. It's a spry menu, okay? And just really quick before I make it, to show you some other stuff you can pull out of that same menu. This thing that I also use on the main page for the surf site, as I've shown you, that way I set it up for news so that I can have the big long description for the shop with all those juicy keywords in it, hiding underneath this accordion fold, we're going to call it, so that people don't have to see this every time they load the site. They just see the updated news that actually has a recent date on it. That's today, right? I did that this morning for them. So this is done using a spry asset from Dreamweaver as well. And obviously it didn't come with the cool, airbrush background. It came with another rectangle-sized graphic background, so I just changed it to that. It was pretty simple, okay? You just change things up the same way you change things up in a template. That's my dog, by the way. That was in September on one of those warmer days, and I was going paddling, and she was barking. Well, she has lost weight. I switched her food since then. That's good. She does look, she's a pretty hefty dog for a pug rat terrier, neither of which would ever get as big as she is. I don't know how that worked out, but that's Honey floating around. She couldn't get the paddle. She couldn't hold it. It was tough for her. So why am I doing this? I'm recording right now. But anyway, so this is a cool list. So there's not just drop-down menus. There's a lot of cool things you can do. And even using that in Dreamweaver, I never have browsers ask to load that. That's actually a pretty streamlined thing that it thinks is fine. So, and it's called it's an accordion thing. So if I go, I'm going to open up. I got to get rid of what I made earlier because I already did this in another section. Let me go in here. I just gotta clean up this menu really fast. You know what? I'm just gonna pause while I'm doing this. Okay, so we've got this menu here in our advanced demo site, and you guys might have different stuff on the menu right now. It doesn't really matter what you have on there. What I'm going to show you is an example of how you would put this in there. And this is really similar to what I did with John on his site. He had a link at the beginning and the end where he didn't need a drop down. It was just home and contact, but he wanted drop downs for this, this, and this. So you could either make the entire menu a spry drop-down menu and just not put drop-downs on some of them, or you could actually build the menu right in between, which is a little bit trickier, a little bit, not much, but probably a better way to do it because then you can see what the other menu items look like before you change to the spry menu when you're trying to get the spry menu to be formatted the same as the menu was. If that makes any sense. So because you're gonna put a spry menu in from Dreamweaver, and spry is just the type of script that they're using. It's a Java type script that'll make this work. And when you do it, it's not gonna look like this look just by itself. It's not gonna automatically take on that formatting. And I'm just cleaning all. Okay, good. So when I go to do this, it's gonna be different. I'll show you guys what I mean. So the first thing I'm going to do, if I know I want to put a drop down in here, is I'm going to go into code and I'm going to get rid of the three items, bio, merch, and news. I'm just going to take a mental note of what they are and just have that space in between. But what I'm going to have to do, and this is where it's a tiny bit tricky, not much, but I'm going to close the first menu item and then reopen the next menu item. So within the div menu, they'll take on all that formatting, and they'll be just the same as long as I open them and close them. And I'm going to stick the cursor right in between the two. See what I did? So you don't just remove the items if you're going to do the way I'm doing it, where you're sticking it in between two current menu items. You have to close them and reopen them too. So then it just looks like this. And then right in between there, I'm going to put a drop-down menu. And I'm not going to go online looking for code. I'm actually going to use the one Dreamweaver has. And if you know the icons, you can see here, I'm in classic view. You can pull it up from spry. There's actually a spry menu. I'm just going to go here into layout objects, so I know exactly what I'm getting. So that accordion thing that I showed you on the surf site, it's right here. I just dropped it in from there and reformatted it. It took me like a half an hour to kind of get it to look the right way. Maybe a little longer because I wanted that airbrush thing to look cool. But then it was done and it just works. So, and you could use that on a lot of sites to hide. I like it because it hides content that you might want to use for good ranking and good matching of keywords, but it doesn't busy up the site with more words. It's kind of neat. So it cleaned up the front of his page a bit. And a drop-down menu can help do the same thing because you can have less visible links on the surface of a page, but more links will pop up if you go over top of one of the main menu items. I don't love drop-down menus, but I think like for what John was doing, it made a lot of sense. For what some of you guys are doing, it might make a lot of sense. So I'm going to choose spry menu bar, and I'm going across the top, okay, with my menu. So I'm horizontal, not vertical. I click OK. It's going to automatically default to drop in a 4-item menu bar. And I can easily make more simply by going into code and copying and pasting the extra items, or I could even highlight it from here and copy and paste it. I actually want one less, so I'm just going to highlight the tag from there. I'm going to highlight the whole line item from there, okay? And then I'm going to delete it. So this is what I want. This is going to give me the option to make each of those previously named items drop downs, except it doesn't look the same. So I'm going to fix that in a second. First, I'm going to put the right names in, okay? So it's best to do this by double-clicking on this, and then you can sort out everything down here in the Properties panel. So you double-click on the little blue part that tells you you're dealing with the spry bar, and then you go down here and sort it out. So the first item was biography. The second item was merch. Let's call that store. And the third item was news, okay? And then associated with each item, over here in the next box, you can have submenus. And you can pretty much make, I don't think there's much of a limit. You can make tons. You just keep hitting plus, plus, plus. Okay, so for bio, I want 4. So I'm going to do plus one more, okay? And then I don't know the name of the, I'm not actually a big fan of Flock of Seagulls. I'm just going to make up names, okay? John, because I was just talking about them. And then I feel like these guys would use their full name. Not Steve, but Steven. And then Timothy and Seth, just off the cuff, you know. Like, so those, and there's probably not the correct names. Watch, somebody's gonna see this video on YouTube, be like, "Dude, you don't know anything about Flock of Seagulls. Come on." So, and they actually did have some really cool songs in the '80s, by the way, because I went and started downloading their stuff because I was gonna make an audio bite to their songs. I'm like, oh, this is Flock of Seagulls, right on. So lots of 80s movies that the stuff has been in. So then I make the submenus, okay? So bio has, double click to get back in there. Bio has that. Store, I'm going to have, now see how store has nothing? It defaulted to that. So when I when I installed the thing, it came in and said there was nothing yet. I just haven't added anything. So it's just showing you that you can have a menu item with no drop down. So if you didn't want to do what I did, which is put it in between two already existing menu items, which makes it a little bit bulkier, but not much, you could have just made the whole menu spry, and then if you didn't want drop downs, you just leave this blank. But I do want, for store, I want music, clothing. Let's do a funny one, like they actually sell like hair pieces for Flock of Seagulls that look like their hair, and hair pieces, and then yeah, that's fine. So if I added too many by accident, you just sit on one and you go minus. And if I want to do something like a submenu even, okay, I can click and it'll let you go down 3 menus. So I can click on clothing, for example, and go like this. I can go within the clothing category, I can go men's and women's. Okay, so it's really, guys, I don't think there's much more I can do other than show you on the screen how simple it is to start building up the menu. Don't do it up here. I wouldn't do it up there. It's just going to make it tougher on you. do it down here by double clicking on the little spry button, and it's going to make it easier to build the menu up. So then the last item, if I want to get to that, I go to news, and they've defaulted to give me 3 items. I'm actually only going to want two news items, so I'm going to remove one, and I'm going to put recent, and then I'm going to put archives. Okay? And you notice under recent, they actually defaulted and gave me a couple sub items, which I'm not going to need. I could go, yeah, I guess I could go like last week and last month, but I don't really want them. It's getting too busy. So I'm going to just, okay, default and get rid of these default ones. So I've set up a menu. As I was doing this, I'm going to assume that I would have made all these pages. And that's not a big deal that I didn't put the links right in. So I'm going to assume I'm going to have a page called bio. And this is what I want to encourage you guys to do is if you're using a template and you're starting to build it up, do all this before you make your sub pages. And now you're going to be like, well, what the hell, Mike? Why did you wait till week 11 to show us how to do drop-down menu? So if you've already made your sub pages, that's not a big deal. You would then just go and copy and paste the code from the exact place where you're going to build the menu and paste it into the new pages, and also link those pages to the CSS and Java files. So there's a bit of extra trickiness in here if you've already made your pages. If you haven't made your pages yet and everything's already on index, you can just set it all up now and then just keep going save as, like I've shown you guys, like cloning. Okay? And if you did, if you're going to do it that way, then this is going to be helpful to you as well, because you can go in here and add, well, I'm going to create the page called bio.html, so let's link it to bio. I'm going to create the page called store.html. So each main link on the nav menu will still have a page it's linked to. Okay? So I'm doing all those, news.html. And then under each one, I'm going to make links for their sublinks. So johnbio.html, all right? StephenBio.html. So I'm not going to do every one of them, but I would just keep going with that. And I would go through and do the sublinks for this, do for this. And where it had, for clothing, I had the men and women's. Don't forget you're going to want, you know, FOS, men's clothing.html. And it doesn't hurt you either to use keywords in page names. So these are just sub pages, so it's not like people are going to be bothered by a long URL. So you could actually do something like flock of seagulls, fan site, clothing store, women's. You might want to put some underscores in there just to help yourself get through it. But so I've made all the page links, and I didn't make all of them, but let's just pretend I did. So now I'm getting somewhere. I got this set up. Now, before you start changing the format, you want to save this page, close it up, and then it puts all the assets in for you. Because this spry bar will come with a bunch of assets. That you see how I only have one CSS file right now, and I don't have another folder that contains any spry stuff. When I go like this, and I go, here, let's just try and close it. Save changes to index, yes. Okay, all this stuff is part of I guess the script and the code that I'm using to make this drop-down menu, and it says it's going to put this in your site. So I'm assuming at this point that you know how to make a Dreamweaver site and you've set that up a long time ago. Okay, and if not, you got a lot more to worry about than the drop-down menu. So you click OK, and when you click OK, it saved this stuff in there. You don't see it yet, so don't freak out. Just hit refresh, and there it is. So it's in a folder called spry assets. And the easiest way to force this all to save is just to close the file, and then it'll ask you. So you know I don't love capital letters, so I'm going to go through and make this a small and put an underscore there so it's easier to read, and change the folder name, and then it says update links. I'm going to be like, oh yeah, I'm going to update links right away. There are also capitals in here too, but I wouldn't go in there and start grading it down because there's capital letters. I mean, Dreamweaver made those, right? So it's just the main folder. I wanted to make sure it was like that. And it's already set up links in index for you. So if I go to index now and go to code, I'm not just linked to the CSS style sheet, that is my main sheet in the advanced demo site, which is right here. Okay, this is an external link. I'm also linked to a scripting sheet, which is sprymenu.js, which is in here. Okay, right down here. And it even says in the folder called spry assets, see the small letters. And I'm also linked to another CSS file, which I could move to CSS if I wanted to really keep this clean. But it has to do with the spry menu, so I don't have trouble with it being in the spry folder. I'm just going to leave it. Folder path is right. Everything's good. Go back to design. I'm going to now try and make this look like these other ones. And this is probably one of the trickiest parts. So as of right now, if I were to save this, for example, well, it's already saved. I'm just going to close this up. and I'm going to go and load it in. Here, I'm going to actually do that from here. It's just easier. Load it in. What's going to open in Firefox? So here, let's open it in Explorer. It's already open. Okay. So here's the menu loaded up, okay? Now when I sit on it, nothing's coming up, right? So if I allow block content, and that's the one downfall of using this kind of script. Well, it's also trying to load my multimedia players too now. I should have deleted those. Come on. Come on. That's fine. There, see? So you go over it and it brings the drop down. Now it's a little to the right, which actually doesn't bother me. That's fine. But I don't like the blue and I don't like that it's still gray. Okay, I want to get it set up so it looks more like the other stuff in the menu. Okay, so that's just changing the CSS. So you got a menu built. It's working. Okay, but it'd be nice if this stayed orange or something when I went away from it. And if this didn't have these outlines and... So we'll work on that, okay? And that's back in Dreamweaver with the CSS. So I might stop recording at some point because no matter how many times I do this, it's never a fast process because there's a variety of CSS items that are applying styles to these specific boxes, and we want to make them look like these other ones, okay? In the menu, in the previous menu. So let's start by just going to this one right here. It says menu bar sub item. All right, now. It's a link too. It's a.menubar sub item. If I minimize that style sheet, you're going to see all these different styles. I'm going to pull this down a bit. And I'm going to pull it out a bit. Okay, there is a lot in here. Like menu bar sub item A with an A in front of it. There's one. There's another one without the visible stuff on it. Okay, so that's where that blue's coming from. So right away I could just remove that. Like I don't want it to be blue. I'd rather it stay like another color or just not be blue at all. So I'm just going to get rid of that. And you won't see anything change because that's like a hover thing. So the sizing, the first thing I want to fix is to get it just right up there like that other one. And that has to do with padding that they gave it on the spry menu that the other one doesn't have. And it says it's coming from menu, right. There, menu sub item with an A tag, okay, and stay there. And it's 100 pixels wide too, and this isn't that wide. I'd like to make this a little narrower. So let's try and find that. And it's not, you're gonna find this is not that easy. There's the menu list and then a menu sub item. That's not it. That's not it. See what I mean? That's not it. And these all have the A in front of them. So if you get sick of it and you don't want to keep looking for it, I'll show you a better way to do it. That's not it. So it's getting the tag from somewhere. And we're not 100% sure where. It's not coming from the line code, because that's the line. So what you can do is get back on it, okay? And with John's, I actually did go through and find it. I should go get it. Where the heck is it? No, that's not it. But there's another one of those blues that I'm going to get rid of. Okay. Come on. And you shouldn't really have to keep opening them like I'm doing. It should show you down here. It'll have padding. So let's do it that way. Let's just go from the top and figure out where it's coming from. No. Nope. No. 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 Close, but no. No. Does that have padding? Padding. Here we go. So I found it. Okay, it was actually just that one. So what you do is you get. I want that top padding out of there. Apply. Hey. Okay, that should have removed that. That's weird. Okay, so keep going. Maybe it's in here too. No. Like that should have taken that away. Oh, that worked this morning. I don't know why it's not working now. Weird. Am I in live view? Live view. Okay, back to design view. Take it off live view. I'm just trying to get it to refresh. No, it's still off. It's still totally there. It's really weird. It really should have shortened, and it didn't. Oh, here's more padding. Hang on. Oh, no, that's the same one. Okay. And there was no padding before that. So you know what? I'm not going to keep looking around for it. Here's what you can do. Get on the item where you see the padding, and then go like this. And go to add a new rule. This is a new way I've started doing it now. It's just, I really should have been doing it this way the whole time and actually try and change the CSS. Because where it's picking up everything is based on all the tags before that. But you can override them by going into the most recent tag. So this is added to this tag in that same file. Click OK. And then just go here and go top 0 and hit apply. Okay, that's not quite right. We want to get it to match. I'm thinking probably 5, 10. So just get it till it's exactly the same, and then you're set. That's like pretty much there. Okay, that looks almost identical to me. Go to live view there. So it's the same height. See? Okay, now we got some other stuff to deal with. I don't like how it's orange. I don't like how it's gray. I want to make it have the same background as this other stuff. And as I was going through that, if you see, I don't need that border either. I should get that out of there because nothing else I have has a border. There, right here. I got lucky finally. I got the background color right there. Take it out, okay? Now I'm set to the orange. So I just found the background color on anything with a link, and I set it to the orange. So now we can go preview and see how we're doing. So I've cleaned it up, gotten it to look pretty close to the other one. Let's see it in, I think we're still in here, so let's refresh. No, wait a second. Didn't save the script file. It'll prompt me to automatically when I close. Okay, good. Now let's refresh. So it should shrink right up. There you go. Looks the same size as the other menu. Okay, what is going on here? There. Oh, I'm having some issues here with my plugins, but now it should not be loading up white like that, which I believe is an Explorer issue, not an issue with what I've just done. And that's not an issue that you guys are going to have. That's an Explorer issue with my computer. So let's try this. Let's try this in another browser. All right, let's just try it in Firefox, even though a million windows are going to open up here on me. So in the end, and I'm probably going to stop recording pretty soon because I don't want to keep through and finding every little change you have to make. In the end, what you want to do is just remove or edit the formatting properties for the CSS so that it looks the same as your other ones. Come on. So here you can see I don't have that. I don't have the problem. I do have to bump it back down a bit. So where I got the box to be the right size, I have to go to the A and do a margin that pushes this down a little bit. And then additionally, I want to show you the other stuff I'd still have to change before I stop recording. Holy crap. It's going to ask me in a there. Okay. Additionally, there you go. See how I took the background away completely? I'm going to need to add a background back into the drop downs, because when I'm not sitting on them, you can barely see them, right? And I probably need to change the margins on the sub menu as well, which is the menu that's sub to clothing and comes out to the right. So you'd have to toy with it a bit, and most of you probably won't want to do double sub menus anyway. But you can see here, like I've already got it pretty damn close, and then you just go in, and it wouldn't take you much longer. I just don't want this video to be too long. You'd go in and you finish the rest of the stuff. So I'm going to stop recording here. I am going to finish this with the class, but